She stood by the window, her phone in one hand and a glass of wine balanced precariously on the sill. I walked into the room just as her voice carried an unsettling mix of laughter and melancholy. "You know what's funny?" she said, not turning to look at me. Her tone was so casual it made me pause in the doorway. "What's funny?" I asked cautiously, stepping closer. She turned her head slightly, her gaze fixed on the darkened skyline outside. It was as if she wasn't even talking to me, but to some distant thought. "Sometimes I wonder how my life would have turned out if I'd stayed with Arden." My heart stopped mid-beat. I stood frozen, trying to process if she had really just said the name of her ex. "What did you just say?" I asked, my voice low and measured, though the rage bubbling inside me was hard to contain. She took a sip of her wine and shrugged, as though it was the most natural thing in the world. "Just a thought, Seth. He was so decisive. He always knew what he wanted." Sometimes I think maybe I would have been happier with him. Her words struck like a hammer. "Are you serious right now?" I asked, my hands curling into fists at my sides as I struggled to keep my voice even. "Don't be so dramatic," she said, finally turning to face me. Her expression was calm, unbothered, and devoid of any apology. "It's just a thought. Haven't you ever wondered what could have been?" The air felt stifling, the walls closing in on me. I took a step back, the weight of her words pressing down like an invisible force. "No," I said sharply, "because I respect the person I'm with and don't live in the past." For a moment, her expression flickered, but instead of an apology, she let out a small laugh. "You're overreacting, Seth. Everyone thinks about things like this. It's normal." "No, it's not." I shot back, my voice firm and cutting through the tension. "Not when you're in a relationship and supposedly committed to someone. Not when you're standing here, in our home, talking about how much better your life could have been with him." She rolled her eyes and crossed her arms, but I caught the slight twitch in her jaw. "You're being ridiculous," she said dismissively, but the crack in her confidence was there, just beneath the surface. The air in the room felt heavier with each passing second. I stared at her, my pulse pounding in my ears as her words replayed in my mind. She had just casually admitted to fantasizing about her ex, and now she was acting as if I was the one out of line for being upset. "Ridiculous?" I said, my voice low but edged with steel. "You're telling me you wonder if you'd be happier with another man, and I'm the one being ridiculous?" She sighed, setting her wine glass down on the windowsill with a soft clink. "Seth, it's not that deep," she said, her tone exasperated. "It's just a thought. Everyone has them." "No," I said sharply, taking a step closer. "Not everyone. And even if they do, they don't say it out loud to the person they're with. You didn't just think it, you said it. To me." Her eyes flashed with annoyance, and she threw her hands up. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this? I didn't say I want to leave you for him, or that I regret being with you. It was just a passing thought." I shook my head, the frustration bubbling to the surface. "You don't get it, do you? You don't see how hurtful it is to hear that you're sitting here comparing me to someone you've already decided might have been better for you." She rolled her eyes again, her posture shifting as if she was trying to seem unbothered, but her tone betrayed her growing irritation. "You're twisting my words. I never said he was better for me. You didn't have to." I snapped. "You said enough?" The room fell silent for a moment, the tension palpable. She leaned back against the windowsill, crossing her arms. "Seth," she said, her voice softer now, almost pleading, "you're reading too much into this. I'm here with you, aren't I? Doesn't that count for something?" "It would have," I said quietly, "if you hadn't just admitted that you're not sure you made the right choice." Her face hardened again, her walls going back up. Fine, she said coldly. If you're so insecure about it, maybe you need to take a look at yourself. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow in the charged air. Insecure? That's rich coming from the person who can't stop looking over her shoulder at the past. Maybe you should take a look at yourself, Isolde. She glared at me, her jaw tightening. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said through gritted teeth. But you're making this into something it's not. You hurt me the moment you opened your mouth, I said, my voice steadier now. And the worst part? You don't even care. Her silence was answer enough. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating, as we stood on opposite sides of the room. Her arms were crossed, her posture defiant, but her eyes flickered with something, maybe guilt, maybe anger. I wasn't sure anymore. You really don't get it, do you? I said finally, my voice low but firm. This isn't just about what you said. It's about what it means. Oh, enlighten me, Isolde snapped, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Since you clearly know what's going on in my head better than I do. I took a deep breath, my chest tightening with every second of her deflection. It means you're not here, I said, gesturing between us. Not fully. You're stuck in the past, with him, and it's bleeding into what we have. Do you even care about us, or am I just some placeholder for the life you really wanted? Her lips parted, but no words came out. For once, she didn't have a sharp retort ready. Instead, she looked away, her fingers gripping her arms tightly. The silence was more damning than anything she could have said. I shook my head, a bitter laugh escaping me. That's what I thought. Seth, she started, her voice softer now, almost desperate. I never meant for it to come out like that. I love you. You know I do. Do I? I shot back, my voice rising. Because it sure doesn't feel like it when you're sitting here, talking about how much you miss him. About how you wonder if he was the better choice. Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't find it in me to care. I don't miss him, she said, her voice cracking. I don't know. Sometimes I think about what might have been, and you don't stop yourself. I interrupted. You let those thoughts fester until they're more real than what we have now. And then you say them out loud, like it doesn't matter how I feel. Her tears spilled over, but she still didn't move toward me. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I swear. It's not just about hurting me, Isolde, I said, my tone heavy with finality. It's about respect. It's about trust. And right now, I don't think you have either for me. Her face crumpled, and she finally took a step forward, her hands reaching out as if to bridge the growing chasm between us. Please, Seth, she said, her voice trembling. Don't do this. Don't let one stupid comment ruin everything we've built. I stepped back, her hands falling to her sides. It wasn't just one comment, I said, shaking my head. It was the truth. The truth you've been hiding, maybe even from yourself. And I can't stay with someone who doesn't know if they want to be here. Her tears turned into sobs, and she sank onto the edge of the couch, her face buried in her hands. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt, but it was quickly swallowed by the anger and hurt that still burned in my chest. I want you to pack your things, I said, my voice steady. You can stay here tonight, but I want you gone by tomorrow. Her head shot up, her red-rimmed eyes wide with shock. You're kicking me out? She asked, her voice breaking. I am, I said firmly, because you've already made it clear where you'd rather be. And it's not here. Not with me. She tried to argue, but I held up a hand, silencing her. No more, Isolde, I said. This is done. The weight of my words hung in the air as I turned and walked to the door. I needed air, space, anything to escape the suffocating tension of the room. As I stepped outside, The cold night air hit me like a slap, but it also brought clarity. She had made her choice, even if she didn't realize it. And now, I was making mine. I wasn't going to be someone's second choice, someone's afterthought. I deserved more than that. And as much as it hurt, I knew I'd done the right thing.